I thought it was about time I introduced myself. I'm here to take you through my journey of getting diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, or in my case, several autoimmune diseases. I've had TMJ issues for many years, and I thought I would just always have a clicking and a locked jaw. When I was younger, I had a palate separator and they broke my palate. So I just thought I would have this the rest of my life. However, in January 2019, things seemed to be extremely wrong. I couldn't open my mouth more than a half an inch. It hurt to eat. It hurt to sleep. I couldn't roll over on one side. I went to the dentist and got a night guard made, thinking it was all of my clenching of my teeth and my TMJ making things worse. So I did get a little relief for that. As January went on, I began having other pains. It felt like every bone in both of my feet were broken. I had to wear special Nike flip-flops. Those were the only shoes that didn't hurt my feet to walk around in. My arms were numb from my shoulders down to my fingertips. I was also experiencing symptoms from Raynaud's syndrome. That is where your hands go numb, they get tingly, they feel like pins and needles in them, they turn white, you can't feel them. It is terrible. It was February 3rd when I started working out again. I was scared to death. I thought if I didn't use my body, I would lose it. It would stiffen up and I wouldn't be able to. I worked out about 3 to 5 times a week. I finally decided to call the doctor. It took me 6 weeks to get into the doctor. Fast forward to May 1st, I ended up going to see a naturopath doctor and discussed all of my issues with him. I was actually having a lot of vertigo as well. I had vertigo, all of my joints hurt, my knees, my ankles, my knuckles, my elbows. I just wasn't understanding what all was going on. But at that point, my TMJ was my main issue. So he actually performed a cold laser treatment on my neck, throat area, and it relieved a lot of the tension that I was feeling, and it loosened that up a little bit. I ended up getting into the doctor the early part of May, and I was explaining my symptoms, and she was pretty much at a loss of what it could be. So she issued a blood test to me, and that following Monday, I got a call from one of the nurses, and they had the results of my blood test, and it said that I had Sjogren syndrome. I was at a complete loss. I'd never heard of the disease, and I couldn't pronounce it, for one. And I felt really lost and out in the dark and had no idea. So I called back and asked if I could come pick up my results, and I went and got that, and I started going to work on researching what the heck Sjogren syndrome was. The next day, another nurse called me and asked me if anyone called and let me know the news, like it was some exciting thing. Well, she basically had no explanation, and I told her I would like to speak with the doctor, so I set up another appointment to speak with the doctor. 1 week later, my husband went with me to visit the doctor, and she basically told me there was nothing that she could do for me. So she told me to set up an appointment with a rheumatologist, and she gave me a prescription for prednisone, which I filled and threw in my closet, and I knew I would never use it because I saw what it did to my grandmother, who also had rheumatoid arthritis for many years, and I saw it take a lot of things that she loved away from her. So I was very blessed, though, to get diagnosed on my first time. Most of the time, it takes people on an average 3 to 5 years for a correct diagnosis for an autoimmune disease. So I made an appointment with the rheumatologist, and he did another blood test called a VISE, and it confirmed Sjogren syndrome with very strong positive, as well as rheumatoid arthritis. We also discussed my Raynaud's syndrome. The rheumatologist said I have positive lupus markers, but that doesn't mean I have lupus. So basically, telling me what I needed to be on prednisone to help the inflammation and the swelling. I left that office feeling pretty beaten up and feeling really sorry for myself. So after that, I decided to do a lot of research. And I figured out that my So-called TMJ has been a swollen parotid gland this whole time. I started taking 500 milligrams of turmeric a day. After 4 days, I had so much relief. It was amazing. So amazing. I hadn't felt this great in years. I had lived for years with that pain and had no idea that something natural could take that pain away. I began to focus on my other issues as well as the what ifs. Our family went ahead and planned an RV trip to the Northwest. That was a lot. At times I could barely walk normal, but I figured I can still walk, so I better do it now. This could be the last time I do something like this with my family. Not being sure what the future held for me. So we set off with 4 adults and 2 dogs on a journey of a lifetime. We left June 28, 2019 and returned July 15. 17 days, 9 states, and over 4,500 miles. It was the most emotional trip I had ever been on. Our family grew a lot, and I healed a lot. My daughter had started researching and doing Reiki. She started doing Reiki sessions on me quite a bit. We began clearing blockages in my chakras and really began to understand how our bodies work. I started to write down symptoms daily to pinpoint what exactly was going on and what emotion and what body part it was quote unquote attached to. That's when I realized the shooting pains behind my eyes were getting worse. I started searching for specialists for every aspect of my body. That included my feet. I went to a podiatrist, and that's when I found out I have Morton's neuroma. That means I have inflammation from the arthritis or the Sjogren syndrome that created tumors in between toe number 3 and toe number 4 on both of my feet. It was extremely painful. I could not walk. Every morning I had to put on these special shoes. I ended up finding another pair of shoes that worked well. And most of the people who have either the Raynaud's or also Morton's neuroma have to wear flip-flops to ease the pain. I had gone up 2 shoe sizes in less than 6 months. So, of course, I had to find something to accommodate my painful feet. But it was a relief to find out what the problem was. So then I began to treat the symptoms of that issue. I started taking a salve, applying a salve and taking Dr. Christopher's complete tissue and bone repair, both internally and externally. And then I got another checkup in 6 weeks, and my tumors had shrank in half. That gave me a lot of relief. I haven't been back, but my feet are feeling great these days. I do take several supplements. I'm up to 1,000 milligrams of turmeric a day. I take 1,000 mcgs of B12, 60 milligrams of ginkgo biloba, that helps with the brain fog with the Sjogren syndrome. I take biotin, Dr. Christopher's bone and tissue, the muscle balm. I do CBD salve. I also make something. I do have a medical marijuana card, so I do make a lot of salve with that, and I get a lot of relief. So another issue was the eyes. I ended up finding an eye specialist who specializes in Sjogren. I found out I have dry eye syndrome, narrow angle glaucoma, and vitilium lesion. So I ended up having a laser iridotomy surgery on both of my eyes in December of 2019. Had I not done that, if I had a episode within hours, I could have been blind. So I figured with my eye specialist being 3.5 hours away, I opted for that eye surgery just to be on the safe side. I do take a DE3 fish oil for my dry eye syndrome, and that takes away all the shooting needle pains that are behind my eyes. So right now, the vitilia eye lesion is on my left retina, which is a tear in there. So we're just kind of watching that right now. So I think most of my stuff is under control, and I'm just maintaining. You got to watch out for all of the triggers that cause the inflammation. For me, one of my biggies is sugar. I am a sugarholic, and that has been one of my main things. There's a lot, and every person is different. But first and foremost, we are on this soul journey solely. It is for us to figure out for ourselves that we know we have the power within us. It's our job to figure out how to unlock ourselves and our true potential. You see, I had a lot of anger and resentment built up inside of me. I did absolutely everything for everyone in my household, or so that's how I felt in my head. I started to become bitter. I had so much anger and resentment. Anger and resentment. Anger and resentment. I was doing this to myself and hurting my children and husband at the same time, making them feel like they couldn't do anything good enough. No, I'll just do that. I'll just do it. It'll be my way. I'll take care of it. No, quit doing that. Ask for help. Get help from everybody. My madness had to stop. It was hurting me and everybody else. I said, you know what? If I get sick, everybody else will have to take care of me. That was my mentality. I created this. I manifested this. And boy, was I wrong. Oh my goodness. This past year has been a huge hurdle for me. And I can't believe how I've grown and healed. I am so strong now. So this is where my energy healing started for me. I will share more of my stories and updates and what's going on a later date. I thought it was about time that I share some of the wonderful things that we can do to help ourselves. And I want you to come along with me in my journey. It's going to be so exciting, and I'll introduce my healing daughter to you. Thank you all so much for listening, and be blessed. Thank you so much.